What it do, Raider Nation? I'm gonna try this one more time. So the Las Vegas Raiders hosted Harbaugh and the Chargers. Harbaugh's first time in Allegiant Stadium. The Chargers come in ninth. I'm just kidding. So the Chargers defense is second in the NFL in takeaways or giveaways, and also first in the NFL in turnovers. So, like I said on the other one, I tried to start. The Raiders had to be 100% at their best. They were not Aiden O'Connell with a bad mistake, a ball that should have never been thrown. It looked to me like he was trying to lead the receiver. The receiver stopped. Either way, however it worked out, ball shouldn't have been thrown. Got to throw those away. Live to play another day. Um, no run gaining, just another devastating, dismal performance at what is supposed to be a run game. And a lot of Raider fans, even Antonio Pierce in his press conference said, bring back the staff, bring back Scott Turner and Norv Turner. Will the game be different? I mean, we have running backs in the building that didn't even get a look. Um, with Amir Abdullah, we had 100-yard rushing game all season. So, whether it was Luke Getsy, whether it was the Turners, whether it was Antonio Pierce, not being a head coach and demanding what he wants. He said from the start he wanted to be physical, smash mouth, football. And the Raiders have never been that in any game this season, not even the one game we had 100-yard rushing. So, is it live? Well, Aiden O'Connell's numbers minus the interception were pretty much exact on completions, attempts, rushing attempts, which is Bambi on ice should not be rushing. As Justin Herbert, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, who some could say, top 5 quarterback in the NFL the way he's playing right now. Um, but yards after the catch were the main difference, and of course the interception. Um, the sacks. Aiden O'Connell had guys in his face all day long, pause if necessary. And this offensive line, they have to be more respectful than that, like of themselves. Like you can't just completely get dominated by a Chargers team that did the same thing in the first game to Gardner Minshew. They just constantly applied pressure, and the Raiders just had no answer for it. The game plan, went out the window. I believe like the first couple of plays when we could absolutely not run the ball. Um, Negative plays. The Raiders have more negative plays than anybody in the NFL, I do believe. And you can't win football games like that, whether your head coach is calling plays, whether he's the defensive coordinator, or, whether he doesn't do nothing and he lets his staff do everything, as some people say. None of that matters if you can't block, if you can't run the ball. And obviously, we haven't been able to do any of those. We can't run the ball. Um, you know, Antonio Pierce alluded to he didn't want to keep, putting guys at positions where they shouldn't be at, which I believe 100% he was talking about, Jackson Powers Johnson not being at center and having having Jackson Powers Johnson, have to move to guard, and then you have Andre James playing center. You know, if you look at some of the things Antonio Pierce says, how do you say, it's not your fault without saying it's not your fault? Well, you know, say you wanted Aiden O'Connell, which anybody could say that after the fact. The season's over. If you really wanted Aiden O'Connell, you being the head coach, I think he should have put his foot down, or, you know, he said he talks to Mark Davis every day. Like, if you're talking to Mark Davis every day, how about one of those days you just say, Mark Davis, like, this is the problem I'm having. I want to run the ball. These offensive coordinators aren't running the ball. Salute Mark Calbon. What's good? What's good? you know, but he never did that as a head coach. And I guess, as a man, you're point the finger and blame it on somebody else. But you have thrown players under the bus and said, players are making business decisions. So, Mark Cabone, what's up, Rebel? Are they going to make this official one or the other soon? What, AP? I think it's official until it's not official. I mean, like he said, he's under contract, which means nothing in the NFL. It means absolutely nothing at all. But he is under contract, and until that changes, I think it's official. It's still his job. However, you have to look at the fact, and I'm gonna read it right now. Coaches, hey, let me take this off because I can't see that far with these on. Coaches on the top seed, which are the Chiefs and the Lions, as well as coaches on non-playoff teams, can take part in virtual interviews for head coaching jobs 3 days after the conclusion of the regular season. So coaches from Saturday's game can begin interviews on Tuesday, while others can start the process on Wednesday. So what that means and what that is telling me is, other than Mike Vrabel, who can be interviewed if Mark Davis wanted to interview him, and there was reports by some people, I'm not going to say names, who said Mike Vrabel was going to be in Vegas interviewing today, which is not possible because, as I just read, you can only do virtual interviews, which is obviously like I'm talking right now, and that can't start on Wednesday. So Antonio Pierce is the coach for now, but is it the fact that Mark Davis can't interview any of the coaches he wants to, besides maybe Vrabel, which Vrabel already has interviews planned for Tuesday, I believe somewhere else. And, the Jets have other guys coming in. They already interviewed Vrabel for the job. The Patriots job has come open. Does Vrabel want that job? There has been, many, many talks, many reports all over the internet saying that Vrabel knows where he wants to go. Some people have speculated it was the Raiders. I don't believe that's it. Others have speculated it's the Patriots job, and that's the job he was waiting for, and that's the job he wanted. Well, that job has officially come open. So, is that the right fit? Will he jump on that job, or will he take the Jets job? So, Vrabel might be out of the picture. With him out of the picture, that leaves, very slim candidates. Also, damn, there. Also, let me pull this up. I was talking about. Fuck, it's not even the right one. Jesus, it's going better and better out there. You're gonna fuck my life. Seriously? All right, so that's not gonna pull up. But the other candidates that are in the playoffs right now, you can't interview those guys until 3 days after their final game. So, Liam Cohen, a lot of people have talked about the Raiders interviewing, would be a good fit um, for the Raiders, the offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Sorry, I'm trying to read this. Um, but they can't be interviewed until 3 days after their final game. So when the final games come up for these playoff teams, then they can be interviewed. So there's another stipulation that a lot of people are skipping, that Mark Davis, as the owner, is allowed to interview whoever he wants, even with a head coach in place. Now, you have to be ethical. I mean, you don't have to be, but it'd be smart to be ethical and, be transparent with your head coach and say, this is the plan. You're my guy. You're under contract. However, I'm going to interview some guys that came available that we didn't think were going to be available for these coaching jobs. And, if they're a fit, or if I like to, pick up what they putting down, then we might move on from you. Like that could very well happen. It's happened, I don't know if it's happened before, but that is a rule. I've been reading these rules over and over again. So, if Mark Davis wanted to go that route and say, hey, look, I'm going to interview some guys, and if they impress me, you might not have a job. Sacktail Mike in the building. What's good? What's good? Appreciate you pulling up. So, I mean, how do y'all feel about Antonio Pierce? Do you think his job is safe? Like I said, none of the interviews except, guys that are not on teams can be interviewed till Wednesday, which is, I guess today is officially Tuesday. So we got one more day, before any of these interviews can happen. And then if it's teams that are in the playoffs, like Ben Johnson, everybody's talking about Ben Johnson. Um, Supposedly, and I don't know why that's not pulling up anymore. But supposedly, with the Chiefs and the Lions being the top seed, when they're in their bye week, they can officially do Zoom calls with these guys, which I don't know how many guys, in the playoffs are going to be willing to do Zoom calls with another team, when they're trying to coach their team to the playoffs. Unleashing Addiction was good. Appreciate you pulling up. Also, the Raiders have signed a couple players to future rosters. My guy Dalton Wagner, if you haven't been on this channel before or followed me before, I was one of the first guys talking about Dalton Wagner, mainly because I live in Arkansas, Northwest Arkansas to be exact, in Fayetteville. I seen the guy play at home, practice. The man is a beast. I was talking about him before he was drafted. A lot of people forgot that he was on the injured reserve list when Dick Daniels was the coach. I was one of the first people that brought that shit up. So, I didn't think he was going to make this team with Lou Getsy's system because he just didn't fit it. It's just not his style, that, wide zone shit. But obviously, they have plans for this man because they signed him to a future roster. Thoughts on Kingsbury? I think the man did a hell of a job, but I think if he goes anywhere to head coach, I think it's going to be Chicago. Him and Caleb Williams got along very, very well. Caleb Williams, in his interview, the last interview, made some innuendos and some statements saying that, he would love to see stability, people that are, straight up keep their word, run the team and coach the team. And he kind of referred to Kingsbury being one of those dudes. So I think Cliff Kingsbury will get a coaching job, unless he decides to stay one more year. And if they don't win out in the playoffs and make it to the Super Bowl, which, I mean, shit, they're one of those teams that can. Jaden Daniels in the fourth quarter or with no time left, if you give that kid the ball with the chance to win in a close game, he's proved that he can be that dude. So I don't know. They're a scary team. And if they don't win out, does he really want to jump back into coaching when you got a player like Jaden Daniels and a team like, Washington? So that's all up to Kingsbury. But yeah, he's going to get a whole bunch of interviews. But to me, I just think Caleb Williams in Chicago makes the most sense out of all of it. You know, you also got Jacksonville job, but I don't think Kingsbury's going there. I think a lot of people have been talking about John Gruden. John Gruden being back in the news. I think the Jacksonville job would be a perfect fit for John Gruden. I believe he, lives in, or reside or has a home or something in Florida, in Tampa area. So, you know, I think that would be a good job for him. They still have a quarterback that what's been in the league 4 years now or something. The man's only 24, 25 years old. So They got a good offense. They have Eatine, a good running back. I think that'd be a perfect fit for a coach like John Gruden to get back in the mix. And I think it's going to be wild. I think it's going to be a wild, crazy year. Definitely, definitely with the coaches going on. The Bears are trying to perch on the Cowboys head coach. I don't know how that's going to go over very well. I don't see Deion Sanders coming in coaching right away in the NFL. So I don't think the Cowboys are going to give up their head coach. They would already fired him. And as far as AP goes, it's shit. But if you look at his body language, he really hasn't, had that smile on his face or been that confident or had that much swagger, with his shoulders back, chest out kind of attitude since he took over the job, really. From week 1 when we lost to the Chargers and, pretty much from there on out, every week he kind of got a little bit more humble, got a little bit more quiet, but, he came out smiling, he was loud, he was the normal loud AP, so maybe he knows what we don't something we don't know, but he also said, they have to talk to Tom Telesco. They were doing interviews with the other coaching staff, so there's still a huge possibility that AP is not the head coach for the Raiders. So, that's my opinion. What do y'all think? Do y'all want AP back? Do you think his time is done? Do you think we need continuity? Like I've been preaching on this channel for shit since I started it, is the Raiders have a new head coach on average every 2 years or a year and a half or some shit. That's just crazy. That's not a winning formula. It takes most coaches 3 years to get, the right coaching staff in place, the right players to fit their system, to believe in what they're preaching. It takes time. It takes time. Unless, you're John Gruden and you take over a team that somebody else built in Tampa Bay and you go to the Super Bowl the next year, that shit happens. Or, you take over a good team in Houston, like Houston Texans, and you get the best quarterback in the draft and the best defensive player right behind him, and you already had a pretty solid staff, and you make the right moves in free agency. That shit could happen too. But I mean, I don't know. What's y'all's thoughts? What's y'all's opinions? It sucks having to do it on YouTube, man. I can't pull up no. Can I pull shit up on here? What's this button do? Share screen. Hey, I ain't trying to share my screen with nobody. But yeah, it can go either way. But as far as that goes, I think the biggest question and the elephant in the room right now is Patrick Graham and his defense. Do you think Patrick Graham has done enough to come back? Does Patrick Graham want to come back? Will he get a head coaching job? These are all big, huge questions. And if the answer is no, Patrick Graham is not coming back, which if you check out his body language in his press conference, he basically said he's tired of losing. Now, that press conference could have been because he thought AP had one foot out the door. Who knows? He was the guy that brought Antonio Pierce in the building. A lot of people say that it was Dick Daniels, that brought AP in. Negative. It was Patrick Graham that called AP and said, "Hey, I need a linebackers coach. Would you like to come with me to Vegas?" So, Patrick Graham was the guy that brought AP in here, and maybe he just, you know, didn't want to re-sign his contract because he thought AP was gone. But it doesn't sound like he wants to come back. Sounds like he's tired of losing. It doesn't sound like everybody was on the same page. And leads me to my next question is, does Tom Telesco have to do with the coaching staff not being on the same page? Let me get to these chats. New England, what's good, my guy? New England Raider Booster. Y'all check him out if you haven't already. My guy Jeff in the building. Salute to you. If AP only has another year guaranteed, what coordinators would you want to come here knowing they could be out in a year? See, I've said that over and over again, is there's not too many people unless you shoot for a guy that's been in the building before, and a Josh McCown, that's the quarterback coach. I do believe in the Minnesota Vikings. You bring in a guy like that who's been a quarterback in the league, or other routes. You go you go college, and let me pull up my trusty list right here. If you go the college route, this is my college list. Haven't completed it, but just what I've been going over the last day is start off, bottom of the list. Um, Buster Faulkner. A lot of people might not know who that guy is, but he's the offensive coordinator for Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech has, one of the most explosive running games in college football. Um, their offense is pretty damn good for the quarterback that they have. For the lack of players they have due to NIL and the money and the system and the shit going on. But that's bottom of the list. There's also another guy that's a coordinator in Washington whose daddy is a big time NFL coach, also a USC coach by the name of Pete Carroll. Now, I don't think you can get Pete Carroll to come in and be a coordinator anywhere without taking over the head coaching job. But his son, Brennan Carroll, is the offensive coordinator in Washington, which has a pretty damn good offense. Comes from a damn good line. Could the Raiders, if Scott Turner and Norv Turner move on, try to go that route and bring in, the Carroll family? Could be a possibility. I don't know. But this is why I'm going the college route, is because, like my man said, you know, with as much as the Raiders turn over coaching staff, no offensive coordinator, respectful offensive coordinator, is going to want to come in and, risk his career, put his reputation on the line to come in and coach a team that you have no stability. You don't know if you're going to be here for a year, 2 years, 3 years, or 10 years, which 10 years is probably out of the case, because the only coach the Raiders have ever had for 10 years is John Madden. And the second longest coach is Tom Flores at 8 years. And the third longest coach, I don't even know. I think it's a tie for like Art Shell and a bunch of guys. 3 years, I think, is the next. I don't think there's anybody who's been in between 3 and 8. Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, but yeah. So, like you said, who's gonna want to come in here? Not too many people, and that's probably the problem we have with the coaching. Right now, as Mark Davis said, he's gonna weigh all his options, evaluate Antonio Pierce, and you have to evaluate Antonio Pierce and Tom Telesco both, in my opinion, because I think Tom Telesco made a lot of mistakes that put this team behind. One being Gardner Minshew. If you look at the turnovers, that's a lot of the reasons we lost these games. You know, uh, the second being we've only scored 40. Here's a fun stat: the Raiders have only scored 44 points in the third quarter all season long. All fucking season. 44 points, I'll repeat, in the third quarter all season long. That averages out to 2.8 points a quarter in the third quarter, bro. We averaged 2.8 points in the third quarter a game. That is not winning football, and that is with Scott Turner and with Luke Getsy. So it has nothing to do with the coordinator. We could all point fingers and say it was Luke Getsy. Luke Getsy was the problem. The problem was personnel and the people picking the personnel, in my opinion. And that has to do with Antonio Pierce, because Gardner Minshew should have never been the starter. In my opinion, it should have been Aiden O'Connell from the jump. We never seen what we had in Aiden O'Connell, and that was the biggest mistake the Raiders made, because he ended out the season, his last 6 games, with 9 fucking touchdowns and 1 interception as a 4th-round pick, and was 3-1 in the division. Where do we sit this year? 0-6 in the division, with Gardner Minshew, who had 16 interceptions to 10 touchdowns, with like 5 or 4 or some crazy shit fumble. Anyways, almost 20 turnovers by himself. More turnovers than the whole entire team put together. So from the jump, Gardner Minshew was the problem. And we heard Antonio Pierce in his press conference say that wasn't his choice. He, should have trusted his gut and went with who he thought was the guy, which Aiden O'Connell, like I said, they worked out in the off season. All off season they were in the heat in Vegas in the morning, throwing with Trey Tucker, with Jacoby Myers. Even Devontae Adams was out there sometimes, catching with these guys. They were putting in that work. They thought Aiden was going to be the starter. A lot of us thought, a lot of reporters thought, everybody thought. I think even Antonio Pierce thought Aiden was going to be the guy, but they went the other way. The second biggest mistake the Raiders made was bringing in fucking Alexander Madison, a guy that had 700 and something yards as a starter. Was the first red flag. The second red flag was he had no touchdowns as a running back. The third red flag was he had 3 touchdowns receiving and 3 fumbles. And you decided that was going to replace Josh Jacobs with a guy that's been in the league 3 years, sitting behind Josh Jacobs, who's never carried the ball more than 10 times in a game, except for when Josh Jacobs was hurt. Yeah, mistake number two. Third mistake, letting Josh Jacobs go, letting Amik Robinson go. The list goes on of the stupid shit the Raiders did, but you can't win ball games like that. So let's get to the rest of these. The second one I said was Brennan Carroll out of Washington, which, would be a long shot, but it's one of those guys where he could call his, pick up the phone and call his daddy. He can get, tips from Pete Carroll on how to run an offense in the NFL. And, what do we got to lose? There's not many guys that are going to take the job if Scott Turner decides to go, which, I mean, in my opinion, I don't think we should keep Scott Turner just because we still had the worst running game in the NFL. And no, you could say he didn't have time to change it, but I say you had plenty of time from week 10 till now. Like, they didn't even give Dylan Labe one carry. And, between Antonio Pierce, between the running backs coach, Cadillac Williams, and the Turners, to not give that kid one more carry or at least an opportunity to see what he had, I thought it was just horrible coaching, especially when you seen what Madison did over and over again and you kept going with them. And the definition of insanity is to do the same shit over and over again and expect different results. And all year long, we did that with Garner Minshew. We did that with Madison. We did it with Zamir White. We did it with Amir Abdullah. We kept putting in these guys that weren't doing shit and expecting different results, and it never ever happened. So um the next guy on the list, you know this was a while ago. I think he's already got another job. um Hometown boy, kind of, Brennan Marion was the OC for the UNLV running Rebels. you know they had a pretty dynamic offense with the Rebels. I grew up in Las Vegas, been a Rebels fan most of my life, even though they always been pretty much ass, even with John Robinson there. They just never been a really great team, but they've been, the best they've ever been with this man, Brendan Marion, as the offensive coordinator at a UNLV. They also had their quarterback in the middle of the year transfer and go to USC, and they still finished the year with their backup and almost had a chance to make the college playoffs, which I think was absolutely incredible because UNLV is not one of those big time schools, and with the NIL and all that shit going on, for them to even be where they were, I thought Marion did a hell of a job. But I do believe he already took a head coaching job at a school. I don't know where at the moment, but let's get into this shit. What else we got? I would like to see AP for another year. I would like to see AP for another year too. Like, we keep preaching, on this channel, like I said, consistency, continuity, consistency, and when you change coaches every year and a half, and like the question above this one was, who's gonna come here? Who's gonna come here when you're constantly changing head coaches? Nobody, especially a Ben Johnson. There's been a lot of talk about these guys, these young guys that are offensive coordinators on these good teams are not risking their careers, their reputations to come here and try to turn over a team that, constantly just turns his back because the nation is like, damn, they didn't win the first year, get him out of here. Like, problem number four, listening to Raider Nation. No. Um, that's exactly what I said a few days ago. That's my guy, New England. Who would want to take that chance, right? I mean, that's what I've been saying for shit. That's what I've been saying since week 10 when they were saying, fire AP then. Everybody was screaming, fire Antonio Pierce at the bye week. And I was like, dude, who are you going to bring in? Are you going to promote somebody in house and take a chance? Like, nobody wants that job. Rob Leonard is the best position coach on our team. Definitely deserves a promotion. I would promote Rob Leonard to defensive coordinator in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. I think he's well overdue. The production he gets out of his defensive line, what he did with Caleb Von Chasen, who came in, who was a first round draft pick, who was cut by the Jacksonville Jaguars, I do believe. Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. I'm sure somebody will. Um, he was cut by the Jacksonville Jaguars. He went to the Carolina Panthers. He was cut by the worst team in football at the time, the Carolina Panthers. And, the Raiders pick him up. They take a chance on this man. And he was one of our best defensive players. Like, the kid showed why he was a first round pick, from LSU. The man balled out. And that was a tribute to Rob Leonard and, the rest of the coaching staff working with these guys. But let's not also forget, what they did with Charles Snowden. Let's not forget, that they brought in Jonah Lalu, which is one of my new favorite Raiders. Like, this man, what he's done out there is exciting to watch. And if you haven't had a chance to, put on tape and just focus on one player, because I know most people watch the game, they drink, they cheer, they get excited, they do their thing. Me too. Well, I used to, but now I live stream and fucking I miss a lot of good shit. But if you have time to do film review, just pay attention to Jonah Lalu. Like, this kid is an absolute freak. He's always in the backfield. He's constantly around the ball, and he was another one of those guys. That was I believe he was a UDFA if I'm correct, but overlooked, cut. Raiders scooped up on him. So the guys that they've brought in and the production they've got, Harper is another guy out of the backfield playing defensive back. They've got, you know, a lot of production out of these guys they brought in. Now, was it all Tom Telesco bringing these guys in, or was it, Antonio Pierce and his staff saying, I need this guy, I want this guy, I want this guy, and Tom Telesco goes and gets him? Because that's been the story we've been told, right? A lot of people give Tom Telesco too much credit on, the guys he's brought in and the stars that are playing. All he's doing is bringing these guys in. But he's even said, Antonio Pierce tells me the kind of guys he wants or who he needs, and I do what I can to get him what he needs. So credit credit the staff again, and again, I think definitely Robbie Leonard would be a great defensive coordinator. I think if you gave him a chance to run his own system, I think the man would kill it 100%. Yeah, Robbie Leonard would definitely be a good coordinator. What else we got? Mosa Raider, why'd you delete your shit? Yeah, Jax. Jax. Who the hell's Jax? Yeah, hit those likes, man. Hit those likes. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. We just hit over 1,000 subs. We are to 1,011, I do believe. And also, we hit the watch time hours to be monetized. So we are just waiting for the confirmation to see if that goes through. That Raiders fan, what's good? Rex Ryan as coach and Rob Ryan as DC. Okay, now we getting crazy. I mean, hey, I would not be mad at that. Bring in two brothers that have, a good track record, a damn good track record at both positions at what they do. So it might work. I don't know who you'd bring in offensive coordinator. Let me know if you got a name. Throw it in the chat. But I mean, if you could get those two guys, I wouldn't be mad at it to give it a shot. But like, I'm 100% down with giving AP his contract, and if he shows next year that he deserves a longer contract, then so be it. But first, he has to build a staff, and if he keeps this staff, I think they did a damn good job at developing everybody. I think Philbon, when he took over on the offensive line, really changed this offensive line in the direction it was going. I think we started to get an identity. Our identity, unfortunately, was for a fourth round pick that nobody likes and everybody thinks is a garbage quarterback to throw the ball 40 times. Now, if that's the identity you want as a Raiders coach or as an owner, then so be it. That's what we got, because that's what we did. We threw the ball 40 times, with a quarterback that everybody says is not a starting quarterback. Now, I don't know if that's the best recipe to win games. And obviously, it was with Aiden O'Connell because it won us two, right? I don't know how many started this year, but not enough. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think I think they even get along, Rex Ryan and Rob Ryan. Some brothers, don't get along. I don't know how that shit would work. But uh isn't Rex Ryan interviewing for the Jets job? Which, I mean, come on. I don't think dude, Rex Ryan in Vegas would crazy. That would be absolutely wild. Like I said, I don't think he would want anything to do with Mark Davis, Tom Brady, and this shit show. Like, but if you could have one person that could come in and snap his fingers and have discipline and people jumping on ship to what he's putting to what he's preaching, it's that man. Jaguars chase on. Yep, right on. Yeah, so I'm saying they brothers probably not, like they would be fucking fighting on the sideline, fisticuffs, shit. Which I wouldn't mind seeing, but um, all right. So let's go back to college coordinators, and I don't know, a lot of you might not know who these guys are, but look them up, check it out. Let me know what you think. A lot of them you probably will know, especially these last three. So the third guy on the list, which I don't even know if he's third, he might kind of be tied for second, really at this point. Out of Oregon is the OC Will Stein. Now you can go do your homework, check up on Will Stein, but what he did with Bo Nix and how Bo Nix has played with the Denver Broncos, coming in NFL ready, just off the jump. I really didn't think Bo Nix was, I liked Bo Nix. I really thought he was a first round pick, but I didn't think he was going to come in, even, with his age and his experience. I didn't think he was going to come in, as hot as he did. I didn't think he was going to make as many plays as his legs and be able, to outrun some of these NFL defensive players like he did. So Bo Nix surprised the shit out of me. What he did with Bo Nix, and then, what he's done with Dylan Gabriel. Dylan Gabriel transferring, you know, where the UCF and then Oklahoma, right? I believe, whatever. But Dylan Gabriel coming to Oregon, breaking records, um, left and right. This man is a damn good quarterbacks coach. He's good at at getting the best performance out of his quarterbacks, and you can see, by Dylan Gabriel's size, his speed, he's his athletic ability. You wouldn't think that he would lead his team to undefeated season in college football, but this man is a credit to that, and a lot's got to do, definitely with Lanning, the head coach. But I don't know if it's a guy you could pull away, but it's definitely worth looking at. They have a solid ass run game. Um, you know, tight end game's pretty good. Receiving, receiving game. So just another guy to look at. Kubiak for OC would be a huge upgrade. I believe Kubiak would be a. I don't know if I don't know huge. I don't know how huge of an upgrade it would be. I mean, he's had his shot with a pretty damn good rookie quarterback over there at the Saints and um Riddler, right? Rattler, whatever the fuck is Riddler. I'm thinking my quarterback or our quarterback or whatever the fuck his name is, but Spencer Rattler, pretty damn good quarterback, pretty mobile, not bad at decision making, kind of reminds me of, kind of like a Bo Nix with his athleticism. Definitely doesn't have as strong as arm, definitely doesn't make as good decisions, doesn't have the pocket awareness, but an athletic, pretty good up and coming quarterback. So I thought they were going to win a lot more games, having a mobile quarterback, but I guess that team was kind of depleted. So Kubiak, I think, didn't he interview for the job and turn down the job for the Raiders last year? Correct me if I'm wrong. Coaches who came from the Shanahan tree must be great. Perhaps look into that coaching tree. Um, like who you mean? Who from the Shanahan tree? I can give you one from the Shanahan tree that I've been talking about for shit. I don't know, the last 2 months, month and a half, 2 months. He is all right. Let's start with small hints. Let's start with small hints. So his brother is a coach in the NFL, and he also came from the same tree. Which, I mean, I don't know if you call it that tree, but same tree he's in right now. And this man is currently an offensive coordinator in the NFL for the Los Angeles Rams. His name is none other than Mike LaFleur, not Matt LaFleur, head coach for the Green Bay Packers, I do believe, but Mike LaFleur. Mike LaFleur was in that Shanahan 49er system as passing game coordinator and wide receivers coach, also as assistant head coach and assistant coordinator, I do believe, for 2 years or 3 years. But then he also jumped over ship to the Los Angeles Rams and has been in one of the best coaches, in my opinion, when it comes to grooming quarterbacks or developing quarterbacks or teaching quarterbacks, however you want to put it, and offenses. He's got one of the most strategic, constantly in motion, keeps defenses on their heels, offenses, and Sean McVay. I've always liked the Ram system. I've always liked Sean McVay as a coach. And if you look at the coaches that have come out of the Sean McVay tree, um, I do believe one of them is coaching over there in Minnesota, who is absolutely killing it. I do believe one is coaching over there in Green Bay, who is absolutely killing it. I do believe one, well, I guess kind of got fired from the Chargers last year in Staley. Um, the other one is offensive coordinator in Houston and Bobby Slowick. So, if you look at the Sean McVay tree and the guys that have come out of that and what they've done when they've left there, and then you look at the offense that they have right now and the struggles the Rams have had starting out 1-4, the injuries they've had on their roster, and Sean McVay and Mike LaFleur has that team winning their division and in the playoffs after starting 1-4. Also, losing Cooper Kupp for a number of games, also losing Puka Nacua for a number of games. And if you look at their running back, who I believe is like 5'8" or 5'9", 200 pounds, is just absolutely killing it over there as a rookie or second year player, I do believe. So that would be my number one guy for a head coaching job if Antonio Pierce was fired. Mike LaFleur. I would jump all over that shit because I believe he's, Like I just said, he's been in that Shanahan tree. He's been in the Sean McVay tree. There's also a couple other places he's been. I don't know, but he's been in the NFL or total coaching in college. Dude has like 12 years experience. He's been, everything you can think of, kind of like a John Gruden, which actually been more than John Gruden. One of those up and coming young guys that a lot of people in the NFL talk very highly of and say, this is one of those next guys that is due for a head coaching job. So that would be one of my guys. Um Tony Angel was good, my guy. Appreciate you pulling up, my brother. Rams and Packers coach. Yeah, so I mean, but that's if you move on from Antonio Pierce. That would be my number one guy is Mike LaFleur. I think Mike LaFleur is definitely due, you know, for that head coaching gig. But I don't think he's going to make a lateral move and go from offensive coordinator to offensive coordinator. Not going to happen in the NFL. So, um, where we at? We got one, two, three. We talked about Will Stein from Oregon and what he's done. With the quarterbacks coming out of there, and he's at that age where a lot of people are saying he's next in line, to take a head coaching job. But if you were offered a offensive coordinator job in the NFL for an organization like the Las Vegas Raiders, how could you turn that down? It's an opportunity you can't really pass on. So if the Raiders were to pick up the phone and call this man in Oregon and be like, "Yo, you want to come coach with Antonio Pierce?" That would be a nice offensive coordinator to bring in. Again, if we decide to move on from Turner, there's a lot of talk that Belichick, has him number one on the list to be the offensive coordinator in North Carolina. So, if Belichick poaches our offensive coordinator, then we're going to be looking for an offensive coordinator and possibly a defensive coordinator. Because, like I said, it doesn't seem like Patrick Graham wants anything to do with the Raiders organization anymore. He said he loves the players, and that was about as far as it went. He didn't say nothing about the owner, the organization, or the staff around them. He just said he loves the players, but he's tired of losing, and like everybody needs to do, got to do what's best for them, right? So, um, next up is Penn State offensive coordinator, um, Andy Koltnick. Colt Koltnick. I think that's how you say it. If if I fucking butchered your name, I apologize. But in case somebody shows you this clip, sorry. I hate saying people's names when I butcher it. But yeah, Andy K. Penn State, dude. They have a dominant run game. They have really no like big number one receiver that I'm aware of in Penn State. It's kind of receiver by committee, but they have Drew Aller, who is one of the, if not the best in my opinion, the best quarterback in college football. Um, the man just has a rocket arm. He's pretty athletic. He makes damn good decisions, and he constantly has Penn State, just putting up huge numbers on offense, whether it's in the short passing game, whether it's in the run game, whether it's him making plays with his legs. Drew Alar to me is that dude. And if he went out of this year's draft, I think, by the time the Shrine Bowl was over, East and West, and the Senior Bowl and the Combine is done, I think that dude would be number one on a lot of people's list in this draft. And I think he would change a lot of people's mind. But he's staying in college. There's been reports, and just reports, which is probably bullshit and rumors, just like the one I told yesterday. I'm not going to bring back up, but there's been reports and people saying that the Raiders have made phone calls, are going to make phone calls, which is, like I said, all talk, probably bullshit. But the Raiders are trying to get Drew Alar to come out of college and enter the draft, which that could be possible. All signs, the man said he was staying, he was coming back, one more year. But if they end up winning the CBF playoffs, could could he be Tice to enter the draft and the Raiders snag him at 6? But if he does enter the draft, like I said, after the combine and a Senior Bowl and all that shit, this man is probably going to be one of the top quarterbacks, if not the top quarterback taken. So you'd have to have a better plan than just saying enter the draft and we're going to take you. Like, I don't think that's going to work in the NFL. Somebody's going to snag on your shit. Um, but yeah, if you could bring Andy K in, as an offensive coordinator, what he's done and with Penn State and the staff that he has over there, if you could bring that dude in, with Drew Aller, would be just absolutely amazing to me. And I would definitely be making phone calls to try to do that shit. Um, and next up, the best offensive coordinator still left in the college football playoffs, in my opinion. Just my opinion. Okay, well, maybe not the best. I think Notre Dame, maybe. We'll get to that. But Chip Kelly out of Ohio State. Just look what Ohio State's done to pretty much every team they've played. They've played Georgia. I think they played Georgia this year. They played Notre Dame. Like, them, fuck, I don't know. They played Notre Dame, but they played Oregon twice. Lost the first time. They've played way tougher schools than a lot of these teams that are still in the playoffs. Will Howard is just killing it over there in Oregon. And, Chip Kelly was one of the guys that Antonio Pierce tried to get to be the offensive coordinator. Um, when Cliff Kingsbury backed out after he was hired and decided he didn't want the job. So that's another name that, if Ohio State wins the championship, maybe you could get Chip Kelly, to come back to the NFL and, kind of do his thing with the Raiders. I don't know, but that was one of the names that they were definitely trying to get. So look out for that. And then, you know, last but not least on the list is um Mike Denbrock. I don't know if I said that, at a Notre Dame, but Riley Leonard is my top quarterback in this draft if Drew Allard does not come out. And people say he doesn't have the arm, he doesn't have the accuracy. I disagree. If you go back and watch him at Duke, he wasn't limited as much. I think at Notre Dame, um, being in Marcus Freeman's system at Notre Dame, I think they have Jeremiah Love. They have a damn good run game, and they have one of the best defenses in college football. So he's not asked to do a lot. He's asked, just to be kind of like, that bridge quarterback, make plays with your legs, make fucking first downs, push the ball upfield. And I think Riley Leonard is that dude. And I've said it before a million times. I think Riley Leonard's comp is very, very, very high as Josh Allen. And people are going to call me crazy, but tomorrow, if I could figure out this damn fucking computer and get my live stream to work like I was going to today, I was going to pull up the numbers. Wait, fuck this. Yeah, I could do it like this, I think. All right, so y'all can't see him, but I'm just gonna tell you to him. So for my guy Riley Leonard, comped to the none other than the man Josh Allen, right? Who some say is gonna be the MVP, a lot say should be the MVP. So Josh Allen in Wyoming started in 27 games. Riley Leonard has started in 40. That's one season difference, right? Um, Completion wise, Josh Allen had 365. Riley Leonard has 599. Josh Allen attempts 649. Riley Leonard has 944. Completions, Josh Allen had 56.2. Riley Leonard had 63.5. Josh Allen had 5,066 yards. Riley Leonard had 6,743 yards. Josh Allen had 7.8 yards per attempt. Riley Leonard has 7.1 yards per attempt. Touchdowns, Josh Allen had 44. Riley Leonard has 41. Interceptions, Josh Allen had 21. Riley Leonard has 16. Passer rating, 337.7 for Josh Allen, 334.4 for Riley Leonard. Rushing yards, 1,224. We all know how dynamic Josh Allen is with the ball in his hands in the NFL. Josh Allen, 1,224 yards rushing at Wyoming. Riley Leonard has 1,975 yards rushing with 34 touchdowns to 19 touchdowns. Josh Allen in Wyoming. So if you look at those numbers, Josh Allen is 6'5, 234 pounds, I do believe. Riley Leonard is 6'4, 224 pounds. They have him listed at. And if you put on some weight in that kid, and if you let him sit for a year with you know, a highly talented quarterback, or even a quarterback coach like a Josh McCown I talked about earlier, look what he's doing over there with Sam Darnold. I mean, the man's a Raider. Bring him home. You know, let him develop one of these quarterbacks. But Riley Leonard is Josh Allen 2.0. I guarantee you. I guarantee you. Now, a lot of people say, and I say too, he doesn't have the arm strength. Now, he can't throw it 80 yards down the field like Josh Allen. But like I said, if you work, with a damn good strength and conditioning coach and quarterback coach, all that shit can be fixed. He has very good accuracy. His decision making is very good, as you can see by his numbers. I mean, dude, the numbers are pretty damn good. And that's only one season more than Josh Allen. Josh Allen was picked 7th overall in a draft that took Baker Mayfield, number 1, and Sam Darnold, the man I was just talking about, number 3. So I'm just saying, there are quarterbacks in this draft that we can pull out of our ass that not a lot of people are talking about. And I did a mock draft and took Riley Leonard in the 3rd round, with our first pick in the 3rd round, and I got a grade of a F. And I was like, damn. So if, like I said, after the combine and all this shit, this man's stock is going to continue to go up. And I think it already went up in the last game where he had, only 95 yards passing, but he had 80 yards rushing. And you see the plays where he makes, jumping over guys' heads for the first down. This dude doesn't care about watches. He doesn't care about his car. He doesn't care about where he lives. He cares about his faith and football and winning football. That is all this kid cares about. And Josh Allen had that same mentality coming out of school. All he cared about was winning football games. That was it. It was nothing else. It was didn't care about, the internet, what people were saying, what was going on around him. He just wanted to win. And when he first came out, he threw a lot of interceptions, but he got a Joe Brady in there, and, shit turned around. So we need to shoot for guys, guys that are gonna turn this team around. And I think if you're gonna bring in a young, offensive coordinator that has a damn good, coaching, a damn good quarterback with him, and you can get a package deal, I mean, damn, you got to jump on that shit, in my opinion. Um, what else we got? Rich Gannon, not a fan. Possibly bring back Pierce. What? Oh, Rich Gannon, not a fan of possibly bringing back Pierce. When did he say that? I watched the rundown today. I didn't hear him say that. I heard him talking about Aiden O'Connell. I heard him talking about how this team doesn't score points in the 3rd quarter. Like, I heard him talking about how we have too many negative plays, and Aiden O'Connell's just not it because he's not mobile, and we need guys to make better decisions. But I didn't hear him say shit about AP. Like, I might be wrong. Maybe I'll have to go watch it. Maybe it was another episode. But Um, AP would be Aller would be the first quarterback taken if he came out, no doubt, right? Forget about Ward and Sanders. Oh yeah, people will definitely forget about Ward and Sanders, but you know, he was he was the fuck am I trying to say? He was projected. Sometimes words just don't come out of my mouth. He was projected to come out of this year's draft, and they had him going in the fucking third or second, projected third or fourth round, which is absolutely wild. But that was a month ago before the college playoffs, and what he's done against damn good teams, teams that are probably bigger schools, have more money than Penn State, and the man just continues to put up numbers. Like he has a rocket for an arm. He's accurate as shit. He makes damn good reads, pre snap. I think he has a pretty good, definitely has a pretty good, internal clock of when guys are coming. He could feel the pressure and shit. So he doesn't have to constantly have his head on a swivel, which is a damn good trait to have. Yo, what's up, Rebel in the Nation? Carlos, what's good? What's good? Uh, just read a headline saying that. I mean, if Rich Gannon doesn't believe he's the man for the job, then I respect Rich Gannon's opinion fucking 1,000%. But, that doesn't mean AP's not the man for the job. There's a lot of people in the building that really respect this man. And, there's a lot of people that don't. There's a lot of people that in the nation that, think he should be one and done. But again, my whole thing on that is I don't think AP, besides the bad clock management, besides the stupid timeouts, I think the biggest thing for me is I've known all along is he wasn't trusting himself. He was listening to whoever was in the headset. He was listening to whoever was helping him with personnel, and he wasn't making the choices. Like we heard him say for the last 2 weeks, Dylan Labe will get reps. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Let me know in the chat. What is there? 9 people in here? Come on. Out of 9 people, let me know. Did y'all not hear a press conference for the last 2 weeks where Antonio Pierce said, we will see Dylan Labe? We look to see Dylan Labe. We look to see from Dylan Labe this week. Hopefully, we get some reps from Dylan Labe, right? Did we see Dylan Labe? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, these offensive coordinators are not listening to what the coach wants. Like, the man wants to see these players, and they're just like, I'm not putting him in. Like I'm not putting the kid in. Like you kept Madison in, who is averaging less than 3 yards a carry, and you continue to go with that man instead of seeing what we have. And you brought in a guy Collier, who was an undrafted free agent off of somebody else's team that wasn't even drafted to this team, like Dylan Labe, and he's getting reps before Dylan Labe. So like shit like that, I don't understand, bro. That shit just drives me crazy. And we don't know, like, we have no idea, who's making these decisions, but who's making these choices. What else we got? Notre Dame could win the Natty. I think Notre Dame has a chance to win it, but we don't know the status of Jeremiah Love. I think he was injured in the last game, so that's going to be a huge, huge blow if they don't have Jeremiah Love, one of their top running back, one of the top running backs in this draft if he comes out. But yeah, I mean, they definitely have a chance. Marcus Freeman is a damn good coach. They have, one of the best defenses in college football. Their defensive front, they're not the biggest guys, but they're solid as fuck. And when you have a Riley Leonard, you know, that could run the ball like he does. You have you have two running backs, two running games. You have to worry about the RPO. You have to worry about the read option. You have to worry about him just scrambling when plays break down and there's nothing. So when you have to worry about that much shit, it just makes defense, that much harder to key in on one guy or one aspect and, just constantly tee off on something. McCormick was also a late substitute. And yes, that's what I'm saying. Like Dylan Labe was on the roster all year. He wasn't on the practice squad, and you're pulling up guys from the practice squad. Now I know he was on the practice squad. I mean, he was on the roster as a kick returner or punt returner. That's what they had him listed as. They never had him listed as a back, so I understand that. But when you have a back that caught 94% of his fucking passes in college for his career and was rated the third best receiver out of all the players coming out of college. That's Malik Neighbors, that's Brock Bowers, that's fucking Marvin Harrison Jr. Out of all these guys that came out of last year's draft, he was rated the third best receiver out of all those dudes. And they never once ran him a wheel route, a drag route, fake like he's chipping and blocking and fucking, how many times do we pass to the running backs in the backfield? Not once was a Dylan Law base. So shit like that irritates me and irks me and you know gives me mixed feelings still on whether AP or not should stay. Like we talked about the fact that he didn't go with his gut and start Aiden O'Connell when Aiden O'Connell they had a chemistry building at the end of the year and you know things like that you have to look at, you have to take into account. You can't just take into account the fact that you know the injuries. That's part of football, right? A good coach deals with injuries. Like the Rams dealt with their injuries. I mean, the 49ers, they didn't really deal with their injuries. They have one of the best coaches in football, some people would say. They couldn't get over their hump and their injuries. So not every team, could get over the injuries. And nobody had injuries like we did. Nobody I can think of in the NFL lost 5 starters on defense for the season. 2 of them in the first 3 weeks. 4 of them or 3 of them in the first 3 weeks or 4 weeks. Like that's just absolutely crazy, right? Absolutely wild numbers. I seen something up here about Ashton Genty. I don't know where the fuck it went. Oh, it was right under this one. Do we go for Ashton Genty, running back from Boise State, in the first round? Damn, y'all asking hard questions today. Uh, look, here's I got a 3-part answer. I got a 3-part answer. I'm sorry, man. So if you look at our history, right, in the first round, we've drafted Marcus Allen, Napoleon Kaufman, Josh Jacobs. Does anybody know the fourth? Come on, man. Somebody here got to know your history. Come on. All right. I'll wait. But there's one more running back. We drafted all in the first round. And out of those 3, that's it. My man McFadden. I didn't want to say it because I'm an Arkansas boy. And I thought somebody else would know. But shout out to the Raiders fan. My guy. Yes, Derek McFadden out of Arkansas. Razorbacks. Woo Pig Suey. Is the fourth. And all of those turned out to be pretty damn good. Other than McFadden with the fucking turf toe and just couldn't stay healthy. But then he left and went to Dallas and had, a pretty decent year until he got hurt, was having a pretty good year. So, it hasn't went bad. If you look at Marcus Allen, Josh Jacobs, Napoleon Kaufman, I mean, those are all damn good backs, right? That produce for the Raiders, that are big names. Matt, McFadden too, when he was healthy. I just never could get healthy. So do you take a chance in the first round on a running back? That is the question. And usually no. If he's there at 6th and it's the best player available for the need, I still don't know. I really don't. And here's why. This might be the best running back class in the history of the draft. I mean, you can call me crazy and be like, oh, well, this draft had this guy and this draft had this guy. But when it's all said and done and these guys get on the field, yes, Ashton Genty has more yards after contact than 113 fucking college football teams. I understand that. Yes, he has more yards after contact than almost the entire CFB college football running backs. I understand that. And to have more yards after contact than most running backs have, you know, fucking from the line of scrimmage is absolutely wild. Yes, he is a freak of nature. Yes, he is a once in a lifetime, once in a every 15, 20 year type guy, maybe 10 years. But this class is stacked. And I mean stacked with running backs. There are running backs galore. Like, um, I can't even think off the top of my head right now, but you know, there are so many running backs, and we will do a running back show and break down the running backs and where I think they're going to go. But I think the third round is going to have a run of just crazy, crazy running backs. But we do need a running game, and the running game, in my opinion, is the biggest problem. You could say it's the quarterback, but I believe even with Gardner Minshew, even with Carter Bradley, even with Aiden O'Connell, if you have a run game like a Josh Jacobs, almost 1,300 yards this season, 14 fucking touchdowns, that takes the pressure off of your offensive line, your receivers, your quarterback. It takes the pressure off your coach. It takes the pressure off a lot of situations on third and short, fourth and short, goal line, red zone. Having that dynamic killer running back is is crucial in the NFL. You have to have it. So is Genty that guy? This year he's shown it, but in the last game he did not. To me, they keyed in, they took everything away from him. He wasn't, breaking tackles. He wasn't getting yards after fucking contact, and they shut him down. And if one team can do that, in a playoff game, what are teams in the NFL going to do, with way faster, stronger, bigger, more talented guys? That scares me. So after seeing that, I was like, damn, I don't know if he's worth a first round. And for that reason, I'd have to say no because we have so many other needs. Now, in the first round, I would go Will Johnson out of Michigan. He's the best corner in the fucking draft. He's the best corner in the draft. Last year, if he would have came out, he was hurt this year. We need a shutdown corner. And the last time we took a player at number 6, it was Tim Brown, and that turned out to be one of the greatest picks in Raider history. The last time we took a corner in the first round, it was Charles. Was it Charles Woodson the last time? Maybe not the last time, but the last one to turn out to be the shit. Fucking correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, but I think Charles Woodson was the last. Maybe Namdi Asamoah. Fuck, I don't know. Yeah. Oh God, that doesn't count, dude. Like, come on, that does not count. You cannot bring up Damon Arnett. You should be blocked for that. Fuck. All right. So yeah, but you know where I'm going with this. The last Pro Bowl fucking corner we drafted was in the first round. Was it fourth or sixth? I don't know, but it was Charles Woodson. You know where I'm getting at this. So Charles Woodson, a Michigan guy. I think Will Johnson at 6 would be the pick. That's if a guy like Travis Hunter's not there, which come on, that guy's probably not going to be there. Or if you go if you go best player available at the biggest need, we're not going to get a quarterback in the first round unless we take a reach, on Jackson Dart, which we'll talk about that here in a bit. I dig the shit out of Jackson Dart. I think that dude has, that Joe Burrow kind of fucking Josh Allen potential also. It needs to work on his accuracy. Could probably use, sit a year, but we'll get to that. But there's so many running backs, bro. There's so many running backs, and there's not a lot of tackles. I think it's stacked this year when it comes to defensive line, whether it's edge or defensive tackle. We need guards. I think we need a guard. I think there's a couple guards. The guard at a Will Campbell at a Texas, I do believe. I think would be a huge asset for us. I think uh, you know, I just feel like Dylan Parham is a tight end, right? He's 6'4", he's 285, and to me, that's a tight end. That's maybe a little bit lighter, but you just get pushed around at that size being a guard. And I think Jordan Meredith played his ass off, but I think he's a little light and needs to pack on some weight too. But with the intensity and the fucking, you know, that meanness that he plays with, I think he kind of makes up for it. I don't think Parham plays like that. So I wouldn't mind seeing us get, the best guard in the draft in the first round. And people are going to call me crazy and be like, you're drafting a guard in the first round. But if you want the best guard in the draft, you'd have to take them in the first round because I don't think they're going to be there in the second. Like, so it's either that Will Howard or, you know, probably not going to be there, but Abdul Carter. I think if that dude's sitting there at 6, you definitely swing for the fences, and people are probably going to call me crazy because of the Tyree Wilson pick. But this man's not injured. He's athletic. It's not even close. He's no Tyree Wilson. So, I mean, that's shit I would look at. All right, let's get back. Holy shit. Shout out everybody in the chat. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel, Raiders Unleashed, if you are not already. We are trying to blow shit up in 2025. Fuck, how far am I? Damn, y'all going crazy. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all. Just read the headline. Okay, I got that. Da, 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 da. Do we go for? Got that one. All right. AP was rocking nice Raiders starter jacket during the presser. Yeah, that fucking starter jacket was fire, bro. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna lie. That was fire. I didn't what? I didn't, but in fairness, I didn't watch the presser the last few weeks till today. What? I gotta watch the pressers to see what them fools say. Like, what excuses they got, what fucking bullshit they trying to feed the nation. Um, every rookie coach goes through ringer. I mean, yeah, you're gonna take your licks, right? You're gonna learn what to do, what not to do. Like AP said, the biggest thing he learned was to trust his gut, right? Like, and I thought last year as an interim coach, I think we got more AP, right? We got that cocky swagger. What happened to the AP that said, this is what we're going to do? We're going to come out. We're going to fucking run the ball down your throat. We're going to run the ball down your throat. We're going to keep running the ball down your throat. And you don't like it, we're going to step on your neck and we're going to run the ball down your throat some more. And then we're going to throw a couple deep passes and we're going to win football games. And our defense is going to hold them within fucking 15 points. And that's going to be fucking how we do it every single game. And he stood on that shit. He sounded like he was that tough dude at a Compton. Like, he ain't taking no shit. He wasn't worried about, Andy Reid. He wasn't worried about Peyton. He wasn't worried about Jim Harbaugh coming to the Chargers. AP wasn't scared or worried about none of that shit. But then all of a sudden he started playing not to lose, right? And I don't know if it was because Gardner was in there. I don't know if because they didn't have the run game. I don't know if it's because they didn't try to run the ball more than fucking 10 times a game when you want to be a dominant run team. I don't know what the problem was, but AP, it seemed like he started coaching softer and softer and softer, like he was coaching not to lose. And everybody knows when you coach not to lose in the NFL, you lose games, right? You got to play to win. Fuck, what else we got? So yeah, every coach is gonna have their woes, man. You're gonna have your ups and downs. And I thought, you know, for never being a defensive coordinator in the NFL, for never being nothing but a position linebacker coach in the NFL, to come in thrown into the fire is kind of why he bonds with a person like Aiden O'Connell, with a fucking Jacoby Myers, who was a UDFA, who does everything you ask. that's why he clicks with these guys. And I think, he had that chemistry with Aiden O'Connell because he's like, bro, I'm new at this shit too. Like, I was fucking a linebacker coach, and they just said, hey, you want to be the head coach? You the head coach, interim head coach, and now you're the head coach. And I think it was just overwhelming. I mean, it's his dream job. It's what he's wanted his whole life. But I think it just all kind of hit him at once. And when we started losing, he didn't know what to do because he's never been in that position, right? He didn't know if he should say, fuck it, pull Gardner Minshew, let's go with Aiden. He didn't know, hey, let's go with the rookies. I think he didn't know, and the people that he was leaning on weren't helping him. So yeah, I'm totally down with giving him another shot, bro. 100%. Um, McCormick was also a substitute. I got to that. Carlos, I say no on Genty. New England booster, I agree. What else we got? The special teams is great, probably the best right now. Yeah, special teams is good. AP don't have faith in him, but regardless, gotta play him to see what we got in him. And who? Aiden O'Connell? I think like he said, people have picked fucking shit apart and said, you know, when AP has said Aiden's been Aiden. When you're asked questions about Aiden O'Connell, he says Aiden is Aiden. Aiden's Aiden. And they take that as Aiden O'Connell sucks. Aiden's a statue. Aiden can't fucking do this. Aiden can't do that. I've said this before on this channel. Like, I think when when Antonio Pierce says Aiden is Aiden, he means Aiden O'Connell doesn't blink. He doesn't get rattled. He's the same person every fucking day. He's the same today as he is tomorrow, as he was yesterday. Like, the dude doesn't change, right? He's that dude. It doesn't have, he's not saying, oh, Aiden's Aiden, he just sucks and he's a fucking backup rookie, bro. That's not what Antonio Pierce has ever meant. I guarantee you. He believes in that dude. He just didn't trust his gut. And, he said Tom Telesco, Luke Getsy, they met, they got together, and they felt that was the best chance to win. And they were supposed to, his first thing, even when he said, we're going to go, he gives us the best chance to win for the first quarter of the season, right? First quarter would be 4 games. So after 4 games, they were losing. They were supposed to go with Aiden. I don't know what happened or where it got mixed around, but I think that's where the season went downhill. I think that was the plan from the get-go. We didn't have a solid starting offensive line. Colton Miller was hurt. We didn't know who was going to play what position. We had Cody Whitehair out there, and that was the biggest mistake ever. And, at the time, I guess they felt Gardner gave us the best chance to win until, everybody got healthy and we got our identity on the offensive line. But then the Gardner, then the Diva Tay shit happened, and it was just downhill from there, right? Why throw Aiden O'Connell when you don't have a veteran receiver, to help him out like Devontae Adams? So I think that was part of it too. Special teams, got that. Do we free up cap space if we let go of Minshew? I think it cost us money if we let go of Minshew, like 7 mil or some shit, 3 mil if we let him go after June 1st. So we got to keep him in the building till June 1st, I do believe. With Genty comes serious mileage on him. Already ran the shit out of him at Boise. I mean, yeah, he does have a bunch of snaps. He has taken a beating, but just look at his body, bro. That dude's legs are like 3 of mine. Like, that dude is a fucking bowling ball. And, most lifespan for a running back in the NFL is 4 years anyway. So, as a 4th round pick, if you can get 1,000 yards plus for 4 years, I mean, as a first round pick, shit, most teams would take that. But and if you bring him on as a number one running back, he's going to take way more of a beating in the NFL. So yeah, and there's, like I said, there's just so many. Amari Hampton. There's Darian Bell. There's The the both of the running backs at Ohio State. Um, Love coming at a Notre Dame. Like, there's a lot of running backs. This is going to be one of the best running backs class ever, probably. And a lot of these guys are going to be fucking Pro Bowl running backs. Just my thought. I feel like Ashton Genty too small for the NFL. I don't feel like he's too small. Like, he's a little bowling ball to me. And the size of his legs is why he breaks so many tackles. The dude, he just runs through tackles, dude. The dude's legs are fucking they look like defensive or offensive linemen. And yeah, he's small, but if you look at the running backs in the NFL right now, most of them are, from that 5'8", 5'10" range. They're small, speedy, fucking, you know, thicker guys. That's just the way they've been going. I was a huge McFadden fan back in the day. Was living in Little Rock when they drafted him. Right on, right on. Yeah, I wasn't in Arkansas. I was in Vegas when he was playing here, but I watched him on TV all the time. All right, what the fuck? Plus one, he played top defense, Penn State. They shut him down. Yeah, that's what I said, right? As soon as you play the top defense, like, you was shut down. I feel like Ashton Genty is too small. I got that. He's got Cowboys written all over him. He's a Jones type pick for sure. Yeah, yeah, he's definitely fits that Cowboy description, but he fits that AP description of smash mouth running back too. So I could see Antonio Pierce talking Tom Telesco into taking him. I don't know if you could get Tom Telesco to take a running back in the first round. Coupon Tom, gets most of his running backs in the fucking UDFA or free agency, but yeah, there's just too many of them fools. Cowboys would be a nice spot for them. I think Tennessee, the Titans would be another spot. Dallas wants to trade some serious pick to move up to 6 and take him. We should be listening to 100%, 100%. And I'll be doing a mock draft sometime this week. The fuck, what's today? Probably Thursday. Again, if I can get this shit working and pull up like I wanted to. I don't know what the fuck was going on with Streamlabs, but it was lagging big time. And I just can't do a stream like that. And also, I couldn't get the chat up, so that fucking sucks dick too. Yeah, it sucks being old. But yeah, I did a mock draft the other day, not on live, just by myself sitting here fucking around, and there were a lot of teams that offered way more than I thought for the 6th round pick. There was 6 offers for the 6th round pick, and I think I took the third offer. They offered me, where were they at? 12th, I think. I do believe. I think it was the 12th. I can't remember the team, like I said, but um they were sitting at the 12th spot, so we moved back from 6 to 12. We got their second round pick, their third round pick, and like a 7th or some shit, a 6th next year or 7th next year, some crazy shit. So I jumped all over that. I was like, bro, yes, we'll do that. Absolutely. Moved back, and I don't even know who I took, but we got a decent player and 3 more picks. So, if guys are throwing shit like that at you, I don't know if the Cowboys would be willing to trade all that. And I don't know, you know, what the cost would be at the 6th pick, but I'm definitely willing to move back. Trading back is always the best value. You miss out on one blue chip player, maybe, if you're in the top 10, but you have a chance of possibly getting 2 blue chip players because a lot of players, you know, are missed and, aren't don't have that blue chip tag and then get to the NFL and they're like, damn, how do we miss on this guy? Like, so I'd much rather, have a chance to take a guy in a later first round and have a second and a third round pick and, take a shot at three guys than one, in my opinion. But we should definitely build around Brock Bowers. He's supreme. Oh, dude, Brock Bowers, there's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. You have to build around a guy like that. And I think the best way to build around a guy like that is a pocket quarterback. You don't want a guy that's constantly moving, your offensive line's moving. Not a pocket quarterback, a guy that's mobile, like a Josh Allen, like a Joe Burrow, like a Jackson Dart. We'll get to that. Like a Riley Leonard. I think all these guys fit that bill of, just look what he did. Just look what they did in Georgia with that kid and Carson Beck. Not one of the greatest no, not one of the greatest quarterbacks, but talked about by a lot of people. So coming out was one of the highest talented recruiters supposed to be in this draft until this year. So you definitely have to build around that guy. And does that mean don't go get a quarterback of the future? Absolutely not. I think we need to draft a quarterback this year. And if we don't take one in the first round, then, we need to swing for the fences next year if we don't find that guy. But our trade for that guy, there's a lot of talks about McCarthy. And, there's very, very high possibility that Minnesota moves off of JJ McCarthy. And if that's the case, you just have to be the first one picking up that phone and making a phone call saying, what do you want for JJ McCarthy? Because that's a dude that could turn a franchise around real quick. Hey, Rebel, just wanted to stop in and say good night and hope you have a good night. Appreciate you. I don't know how long ago that was, but holy fuck, that was a minute ago. Damon Arnetta, got that. Hey, give me a hell nah to quarterback from Ohio State. Who's the quarterback from Ohio State? Trent Richardson vibes from Genty? Damn. Fabian Washington, 2025. Okay, that was better than. I'm not even gonna say his name. I can't believe. Damn. Oof, Richardson. LOL. Fuck, Carlos. What does that mean? Legally blind? Yes, I am, dude. I am completely. Absolutely. Go best player available with needs, of course. I'm 100% with that. Jackson Dart in the second round. Mark Carbone says. I think that would be a fuck. I don't know. It might be a reach at this point, but I think by the time it's all said and done, it's not going to be a reach. Like to me, I would take him in the second. I would take Jackson Dart in the first. I would move back if I could move back to 15, 20, 25, somewhere in there. I'd pull the trigger. I'd reach. I might be the last fucking pick I ever picked as a GM if it didn't work out, but they don't call me Raiders Rebel for nothing, bro. I'm from Vegas. I'm rolling the dices. Like I'm taking a chance because I feel like that dude could be that guy. Now, Riley Leonard is another guy that the fact that he's 6'4", 230, almost 230 and runs a 4.5 40, he's way faster than Jackson Dart. Like I'll give him that. He's athletic as fuck, but Jackson Dart has a better arm. I think better accuracy. And yeah, I'd reach. I'd take him at second. If he's there in the second round, what do we have? Like the third pick in the second round or the fourth pick in the second round? I'm pulling the trigger. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, would I pull the trigger on Jackson Dart or Riley Leonard? That is the question. That is the huge question of the day, right? Let me know in the comments below. If you had a chance, would you go Riley Leonard, who is still in the playoffs, with Notre Dame and has a chance to win it all? Or would you go Jackson Dart, who destroyed my Arkansas Razorbacks with 5 touchdowns and fucking almost 600 yards passing? Golly. That was hard to watch. I'm not gonna lie. That was hard to watch. We need some corn-fed guards. Fuck yeah. We need a guard from Arkansas. What's that kid's name? They got one of big ass dudes, but they're all outline suck this year. Donovan Jackson from Ohio State. Art Conley Jr. from the Ducks. Guards, right? You talking about guards? I'm down with that. I think you're talking about guards. I'm pretty sure Conley is a guard. Donovan Jackson, I haven't seen much on. How about T Mac? I don't know about T Mac, man. He's 6'6". I think he needs to put on some weight and some muscle for the NFL. I don't know what his 40 time is. If anybody knows T Mac's, Tyrell McMillan's 40 time from Arizona, let me know. I think that's a big difference. But the fact that the man is 6'6", I think says it all. He has damn good hands. Um, from what I hear, he runs pretty much, every route in the route tree and pretty damn good. So I don't know. There's just something about the man that scares me for some reason. Maybe it's his height at 6'6", and you know, not being that big. Maybe need to put on some weight. I don't know, but he's definitely going in the first round. Would I take a chance on a receiver in the first round? That scares me also. That drafting a receiver and a running back in the first round just scares the shit out of me because there's so many. Like, there's 15 on every college roster. So I really like Trey Harris out of Ole Miss. I think that kid has a chance to be, you know, one of those Malik Neighbors, fucking Brian Thomas Jr. type dudes. Um, McMillan, Will Johnson sounds good at 6. The fuck does that say? Maybe Litz, maybe Litz a fire. Bennett and Jack Jones. We'll get to Jack Jones here in a minute. Yeah, somebody needs to light a fire under Jack Jones, definitely. Um, Jacorian Bennett, I thought played his ass off until he got hurt. He was definitely our number one shutdown corner, and I think he's going to be back with a vengeance. I think he's only going to get better and better. I thought DeCamerion Richardson, for being hurt and missing most of training camp, um, he missed 5 or 6 games in the season. I think more. I think he missed 7. The first 6 or 7 weeks he was on IR with a hamstring. So, DeCamerion Richardson didn't get as many reps as the rest of the defensive backs. And then as soon as he was back, like 2 weeks later, Jacorian Bennett was hurt and he was thrown into the fire too. So I thought DeCamerion Richardson played very well for being a 4th-round pick. And if we could add to that with a Will Johnson, I think this backfield would be solid as fuck. And, to win in the NFL, in my opinion, you need a lot of things. But on defense, you need shut down corners and a defensive line to get to the fucking quarterback. So your shut down corners can play man to man. Because if you look at the teams in the NFL right now that are playing man to man, putting pressure on the quarterback, kind of like the Chargers did to us yesterday, just rushed and rushed and rushed and constant put pressure in us and made your quarterback, run. or make stupid decisions. We don't have a mobile quarterback, so it was either, throw the ball away or make stupid decisions. Fortunately for us, he only made one stupid decision. He could have made a lot more. So, I think you got to have shutdown corners, and I think Jack Jones is not it. His quarterback pass rating is over 130 this year. That is just absolutely horrible. If you look at the touchdowns given up by our defensive backs, Jack Jones is at the top of the list. Um, if you look at yards given up by a defensive back, Jack Jones leads leads our team in that also. He also leads in interceptions, but at what cost? At what cost? You see him constantly biting on pump fakes. Um, you see his receivers just constantly wide open with him nowhere near in the picture with no safety help. So I would move on from Jack Jones. I think he had a good year. If you're going to keep him, I wouldn't start him. I'd make him earn the starting job and show that he can be that consistent, guy that doesn't constantly get beat or put our team in a position where we just fucking have no no defense, right? No defense, no chance to do shit. Uh AOC is a Purdue alum. Purdue produces great QBs. I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. I think Aiden O'Connell's intelligence, I think his pre-snap read, I think his accuracy on short routes is good. I think it needs to, progress on deeper routes. I think he's constantly just overthrowing Trey Tucker. Now, I don't know if that's the timing factor because he sat and didn't get to play most of the season, and they worked out most of the year, and that all that timing went away. I don't know, but I like Aiden O'Connell. I think he has the potential to be a starting quarterback in the NFL if you give him a running game and you give him an offensive line that can protect him. But as you can see, if he runs the ball, he gives me a heart attack and my blood pressure goes through the roof and my fucking heart's about ready to jump out of my chest every time he rolls out of the pocket or every time he steps up in the pocket and starts to scramble. I'm like, fuck. It's like watching your kid fucking, play football at 10 years old with a bunch of high school kids. Like, you're like, this ain't gonna end well. Like, this dude's gonna get destroyed. So, I mean, Aiden would be good if you build the team around him, but you have to be willing to build the team around him. Now we have guys in place like a Jacoby Myers, like a Brock Bowers, Jackson Powers Johnson, fucking DJ Glaze, um, Jordan Meredith. I don't know what we're doing with Colton Miller, Dylan Parham, Michael Mayer. Dude, that's a lot of fucking players I just listed on offense. So if you can get another guard, another tackle, some depth on the offensive line because it was a revolving door this year, change the whole running back room, get, a big name running back, or draft, one of the top running backs in this draft that can come in and start from day one and not sit on the bench because he fumbled one time and have to waller in his fucking own misery for a whole entire season. If you can get that, then I think Aiden O'Connell could be that dude. Get him a number one receiver like a Taro McMillan, however you say dude's name, 6'6", fucking that could spread the field and take the top off the defense. I think Aiden could be that guy, but I think it's never going to happen because they failed to start him this year, and we're already going into his third year, and I just don't see him. The Raiders are, at this point taking the time to start Aiden O'Connell to see if he's the guy. Like it's we're past that point, right? He's too fragile. He gets hurt. You know, the thumb injury. The every time he's been tackled the last fucking 4 games, it looks like he's ready to go to the hospital. So that scares the shit out of me. He's definitely a bridge quarterback. He could definitely be the guy if we draft a quarterback like a Jackson Dart, like a Riley Leonard, whoever else is on the list that y'all might have in mind, but those are my two top guys. You know, if we get a guy like that and they have to sit for maybe half a season and you go with Aiden, till then, I'm good with that. Or, I'm good with going Aiden for the whole year, but you have to give him weapons. If you give him a run game, it's a totally different scenario. Like for the shit this kid did, passing 40 times a game for only playing in 16 games in his NFL career, and for ask him to come out there and be CJ Stroud and him put up numbers similar to CJ Stroud when he's nowhere near as athletic as him is asking a lot. And for him to not blink and come out and do what he did is remarkable. And you can hate on Aiden O'Connell, or you can love Aiden O'Connell, or you can fucking not care. But really, you cannot deny the shit he's done for where he was drafted, and his athletic ability is pretty fucking remarkable. Caleb Johnson. Yeah, that's it. Another one of those good ass running backs. I also like Singleton at a Penn State, but I think he's only a sophomore. I don't think he's coming out. Hey Rebel, I'm taking off 2:30 a.m. Appreciate you pulling up, my guy. We need to do a live together. Good show. Good night. Good night, bro. Appreciate you. Uh, maybe he can be a solid steal for the Dolphins from the Dolphins. Aiden O'Connell, bro. That's funny you said that shit because I was talking to my son like fucking 2 weeks ago, and I was like, bro, if they're not gonna play Aiden O'Connell, and I guess it was longer than before Tua came back. I was like, as soon as Tua got hurt, I was like, dude, if they're gonna go with Gardner Minshew, why ain't they picking up the phone and trying to get Aiden O'Connell over there? Could you imagine Aiden O'Connell with Tyreek fucking Hill, Waddle, the run game they have over there, the offensive line, dude? That shit would be nasty. Aiden O'Connell would kill it in Miami, which I don't know if that's what you were talking about, but that's what I'm talking about. Like, Raiders should give Aiden O'Connell another year. Actually, start him this year. Build the O line and team chemistry. I'm not hating on that, but like I said, I think they fucked up. They dropped the ball and they waited too long to see what we have. This year that just passed was the chance to see what Aiden O'Connell had. He showed last year he had the potential. And I thought if you would have built the offense around him, and obviously it wasn't, it was built, 12 personnel was built more for fucking RPO, read option type shit, you know, quarterback to roll out of the pocket, throw on the run. That's not Aiden O'Connell. That was, Gardner Minshew shit. But then when Gardner Minshew was in, all they wanted to do was have him stand in the pocket and throw the ball, which I never understood that logic either. But yeah, I think, they should have did it this year. They should have started Aiden, even if it was after game 4 or 5, like Antonio Pierce said, like he wanted. If they would have went with him then, it would have gave us, more games to see what he had. And I think we just haven't had enough games in a row for Aiden O'Connell to say he is the guy or he's not the guy. Now, can he be that guy? Absolutely. He has all the tangibles, intangibles, whatever. Like he has the arm, he has good pre-snap read, he can read defenses. I don't think they give him enough, credit at the line of scrimmage. I think if you let him change plays, which he's the best at, if you go back and watch his college plays, he's very good when it comes to reading defenses, adjusting, putting his players in position to make plays. And they don't give him that ability. They don't give him any ability to fucking to change the plays at the line of scrimmage or Gardner Minshew. And I thought that was a big thing that hurt the Raiders this year also, was not trusting your quarterbacks to, let them adjust every play you call, especially once you get past your 20-25 scripted plays. Every play you call is not going to be the right play. Even the scripted plays, they're going to fucking study tape, they're going to watch film, and they're going to know formations you're in, and teams are going to know plays you're running more times than not. So you got to be able to check out of those plays, or call hot reads. And if you don't give your if you don't have trust in your quarterback to give them that ability, I think you lose games. Like it just happens. um Liam Eichenberg is a guard. I like that. There's also fucking the kid out of Wyoming. What the fuck is his name? William. I don't know how to say it, but I think that's the best guard in the draft. I do believe. Um, but yeah, I agree, Tony Angel. They should. I mean, they should have gave him a shot this year. Now, if AP's the coach, it seems like they're gonna give Aiden a chance next year. They're gonna draft a quarterback. They're gonna let him sit, and they're gonna see what they have with Aiden O'Connell. But I believe the best chance Aiden O'Connell had was with a veteran like Devontae Adams. Like they had chemistry. We know how Devontae felt about Aiden O'Connell. He was constantly talking Aiden O'Connell up, talking about his football IQ, how he's developing every fucking game, how he's developing the chemistry. He's starting to learn Devontae Adams reads. And I thought, taking Devontae Adams away from Aiden O'Connell really, really hurt him. Not having him this year. And just imagine how good he would be if you had a fucking Devontae Adams. Like, but for that kid to have two head coaches, four offensive coordinators, four quarterback coaches, and still produce like he's produced this year is, it speaks volumes for Aiden O'Connell. And I threw out this number. And while I'm at it, if you haven't already, hit them likes, subscribe to the channel. If you're new, Raiders Unleashed. I'm your host, Raiders Rebel. Appreciate you, everybody being here. But I threw out a stat a couple days ago. If you look at Aiden O'Connell's last 6 games last year, right, he was 9-1. He threw 9 touchdowns, 1 interception. If you look at Aiden O'Connell's last 4 starts this year, not counting Sunday because this was last week, right? But if you look at Aiden O'Connell's last 4 starts this year, not counting Sunday, he threw 4 touchdowns to 1 interception. Now, if you can do math, 9 times 4 equals 13. 1 plus 1, or not times, plus, you know what I mean? Obviously, I can't do math, but 1 plus 1 equals 2. So, in the last 10 games Aiden O'Connell started in, he had thrown 13 touchdowns to only 2 interceptions. That's remarkable numbers for a fucking first round pick in the NFL, let alone a fourth round pick with 4 different head coaches or 4 different OCs and 4 different quarterback coaches. Like that's just it's remarkable shit to fucking to even try to process how good this kid is and how much he's overlooked because he's not athletic. We don't have to draft a quarterback. They're smart. They should draft the O linemen and receivers. We know quarterbacks age are like wine, right? Or age like wine. It takes QBs. Oh, wait. It takes some QBs a few years to develop. Imagine if Antonio Pierce said AOC is our guy, right? I mean, dude, if he would have started last year, this year, and going into this coming year, it would be crazy. But you know how Raider Nation is. They can't, 1 interception and you're fucking the worst quarterback in the history of the NFL and fucking you have to go. It's just the way we are, bro. Hater Nation. We don't give nobody time to develop. Like, look at how many players that we've drafted that people called bust, traded away, and they're not superstars, but they produce, right? What you, Raider Rebel? Can I ask you a question? What you? What do you mean, what you? What does that mean? Can I ask you a question? As a Raiders fan, who do we always feel like? Oh, why do we always feel like we have to agree? It's like we are following a bunk dictator. Well, V Bizla, I don't know how to answer that question because I don't feel like I have to agree with anybody. And I don't feel like I do agree with anybody. Like, I feel like I pretty much, carve my own beating path. Um, I think most of the shit I say is my own takes, and a lot of people don't agree with them. But I wish more people were like you and felt like they had to agree with me. Fucking, yeah, I'd feel more special if more people agreed with my takes. But no, I don't know why you feel as a Raiders fan that you have to agree with people. But I mean, you shouldn't. You should definitely make your own decisions and your own choices and make your own takes on shit. Like 100%. Dixon Carter, my man, was good in the building. I feel like we have a message from the front office hitting a lot of the Raider podcasters. I feel like that message is garbage. Like, I feel like it's bullshit, bro. 1,100%. And I I know what you're talking about. I know everybody has, their inside fucking guy or their guy in the building in the front office that's telling them everything. But how's that shit worked out, bro? That shit hasn't worked out for anybody. And the latest one I heard the other day, and I mentioned it on my live yesterday just because I thought it was funny to see if it would happen because there's a certain content creator that says he knows somebody in the building that gives him all these heads up, and all this shit has come true, which it might have come true. But the latest one I got was Mike Vrabel was going to be in Vegas today to interview for the head coaching job for the Las Vegas Raiders. Well, obviously that didn't happen, and if you weren't here earlier, let me read this. Coaches on the top seed Chiefs and Lions, as well as coaches of non playoff teams, can only take part in virtual interviews for head coaching jobs 3 days after the conclusion of the regular season. So, coaches from Saturday's games can begin interviewing on Tuesday while others can start on Wednesday. So, let me break that down for you. What that means is you can't talk to anybody live. So nobody was showing up to Vegas to interview for the Raiders job today. Mike Vrabel was not coming to Vegas to interview for a job because you can't even do face-to-face interviews for another 2 or 3 weeks. So that's not happening. All right, you can't even do face-to-face interviews until the season is over, I do believe. So that was never happening. That was fake fucking bullshit. Clickbait. Also, Mike Vrabel could have been interviewed because he was interviewed by the Jets because he's not currently on a roster. I don't know how that works because I do believe he was part of the um, personnel for the Cleveland Browns who played yesterday. So I don't know how that happened unless he was let go or fired or quit. I don't know how that works, but yeah, I know what you mean. And I think it's crazy with all this insider information because the Raiders keep shit on lock. They keep shit in the building, and there's a lot of teams that leak a lot of shit and a lot of reporters that leak a lot of shit that usually turns out to be bullshit, like 99% of it. So, you know, the fact that you can't Dixon Carter in the building. I ain't saying no names, my guy. I'm just saying the latest shit was that's what it was. Podcasters, more than anyone else. Yeah. Um Damn, it just got hot as fuck in this house. The Raiders go along. Wait, the Raiders go get along. Gang is nuts, right? Go get along, gang. You're not one of them, which is refreshing. Hey, I appreciate that. That means a lot. Yeah, no, man, I'm not here for clicks, bro. Like that shit's tatted on me, dude. Like Raider Nation for life. Like I'm not here for clickbait. I'm not here to try to get anybody to watch my channel or pay my rent. I'm just here to talk Raiders. Like give my opinion, conversate with fans, maybe meet some of y'all at some games, give my opinion. Hopefully y'all don't listen to everything I say because that's half the shit might be wild. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I get what you're saying, man, and it irritates me too as a content creator. To see these big ass dudes standing up there, that have um, what am I trying to say? That have a following, that have uh more fucking more impressions than they think, right? They have more impact on what they say, or how they talk about players, or the shit they say that people in the building are telling them. Like, to me, the Raiders have been known to have people to watch, all content creators talking about this organization and their players and their coaches. So if that's the case, and they constantly see content creators talking about their inside scoop in the building, telling them this or telling them that, do you not think they're investigating who the fuck is giving this information to content creators? Like, that shit would never happen. Would never happen. Like, and as a content creator on YouTube, you're not making enough money to pay a guy that the Raiders are paying in the head office to give you fucking information to keep you in the loop. That's just crazy talk. That's crazy, crazy wild shit. Um, Raiders leak out the drama through certain podcasters. They do. I mean, they do. They will hit up guys, but shit that they want to talk about, maybe. I mean, that could happen. That could happen. People say that there's players in the locker room that hit them up and tell them shit, which that's another thing that I'm totally against. Like, who the fuck are these players? And how would the other players in the locker room feel if they knew that their teammate was telling them shit that's supposed to be kept in house? Like, how would they feel about that shit? So that shit's wild as fuck to me. You haven't seen this? You haven't seen what? Oh wait, I haven't seen this live or video recently, but it sounds like him. Cause yeah, I don't. Yeah, I mean, there- there's a bunch of guys. Players aren't happy, informers aren't happy. They have all the news in the building, and some of them do. I'm not. Some of them have made that connection, and that's good for them. But what's not good for them is if the people are trusting in you to give this information, why the fuck are you leaking it on the internet if it's hurting the Raiders organization? That makes no sense to me. Right? This shit is a family. No one is above the shield. And if you're fucking leaking content or shit that that shouldn't be leaked, there's a reason it's not out yet. They don't want it to be out. So, I mean, as a content creator, you can't say this is my job. It's my job to report the news. No, as a fucking Raider fan, first it should be your job to not hurt this team, right? Or not to do anything that's gonna bring it, in a fucking negative light. Like, I don't know. That's just what I would do, but I'm not everybody. Certain podcasters start acting like their voice has a place within the organization, and they're holding it over the nation's head like we care to think they're being used as pawns. I mean, hey, I get that too. Like, I get that too. Like I said, for some people, this is their job and this is how they feed their family. And look, if that's what you got to do, and people are willing to buy into your shit, to super chat, to tip you, to pay you to feed your family, then shit, I ain't hating on that. Locker room talk stays in house, yeah, but you know clickbait and shit like that. I mean, it is what it is. It's YouTube. You're gonna get that shit everywhere. It's all over. But yeah, as far as in-house shit, what happens in Vegas should stay in Vegas, in that locker room for sure. Like, unless they want it leaked, then yeah, by all means. What other way to link information that you want out there than to tell a fucking YouTube content creator that can't keep a secret? Like, shit. All right, man. It's been 2 hours. It's late. Everybody's sleeping here. It's fucking 2 in the morning. Oh shit. Yeah, I need to go to bed. I got work. All right. Much love. I appreciate everybody rocking with me. Make sure you hit that like button on the way out. Subscribe to the channel if you want in depth, no bullshit news, Raider news. As much as I can bring it to you, I'm not on here 5 times a day yet, but maybe one day. But for now, as much as I can bring y'all shit. Yeah, 2 a.m. It's yeah, gonna be a long day tomorrow for me. But much love. As always, we out. Raiders. Peace, my nation.